M0A Online Ground School Remote Pilot 101, Jason Schappert here. Happy Saturday. Happy National, can we make it international? International Drone Safety Day. So great to see you all out there. Thanks for taking time out of your Saturday morning to just find new ways to not only expand your mind, but find better ways to make yourself a safer, smarter pilot. Because at M0A, at remotepilot101.com, that is what we are truly all about. That's why we're investing time on our Saturday to hang out with you all. Speaking of hanging out, who is out there in the chat so I can give some shout outs to him as well? Coach Ray, as always, good to see you. Brad Barry, I saw you in there earlier. Username, the Drone Dad. Hashtag Drone Dad. Please just brand that. I think you could, there's fire in that right there. Mary Martin, great to see you on here as well. Tentos, good to see you, my friend. Everyone, Kelly's here. Ready, Set, Drone, Kelly's here. Can we get the golf clap going? Do we have a golf clap, Magda? Something along those lines. There we go. He's here. Night Train FPV, good to see you. Gene, great to see you on here as well. Really looking forward to this. Johnny Byers, TCB, good to see you on here as well. It is Drone Safety Day. I mean, isn't that exciting enough? I am sure you just had this on your calendar thinking, how am I going to celebrate National Drone Safety Day? Well, we figured we'd do a great live stream with it. Speaking of that, make sure you like and subscribe to the Remote Pilot 101 pages. Many of you like the M0A pages. You know we do exclusive unmanned drone operations on these pages, the Remote Pilot 101 YouTube, the Remote Pilot 101 Facebook, so make sure you like those as well. Rescue 911, good to see you. Tony, great to see you. Username, Look Mama Drone. Hashtag, probably friends with Drone Dad. Hashtag. I mean, that's totally how I look at it as well. But so great to see so many of you on here. We have, in a few minutes, the world famous, very handsome Ken Herron is going to be joining us in just a few minutes. But before we get to that, by typing in me in the chat, where are my Remote Pilot 101 graduates? Type in me in the chat so I can give you a little shout out as well. Always love just working to celebrate your success in everything that you all are doing. So congratulations on that. Just know we're not only through today, but we're going to continue to keep you up to date in all things Part 107 and even this mysterious Part 108. Look at all those me's coming in the chat. That's awesome. Joshua Brown, good to see you. Paul, thank you. Dave, thank you. Tree, checkup. Thank you. Tentos, of course. Hey, Anna, great to see you. Dorman, great to see you. Robert, thank you. That's awesome. That's awesome. And Kelly, 90, first time through on the test. I mean, again, a champion with that. Stan, thank you. Awesome. I love Don Move's comment. Don said, a future one, I hope. How about you're speaking that into existence, my friend. Let's call that as done. You're going to be a Part 107 pilot, and you've got an amazing community and an amazing team around you. I will be your accountability partner on that journey. So, hey, while we're diving into this here, I want to know, where are you watching from? And I want you to tell me the weather using only emojis. Now, I know you watch so many videos of me teaching you how to read METARs and TAFs. And I know you're just like Ken Herron. He wakes up in the morning and he goes, check the METAR for the morning. He sends me pictures every day. That's how he starts his morning. Checks the METARs in the morning to know how the weather's going to be, and sends them to me. It's a true story. But this time, rather than using METARs, just give me the weather using only emojis. I want to know where you're watching from Venice, and it's sunny. Well, in Florida right now, I can peek out one little window there. I can tell you it's sunny as well. Dave in Sarasota said the weather is palm trees, and that is accurate. It is rainy in Madison, Wisconsin, says Dan. Dan, am I going to see you at Oshkosh in what, 2.5 months, Dan? Hopefully you'll make it over there. We're in Hangar B. Look forward to seeing you all. It's cool in North Carolina and Orlando as well. Conan says it's sunny. I love it. Yeah, Coach Ray, I saw that cold front go through Texas. It's coming this way. We're going to get all that rain tomorrow as well. So watching all of that. Anna, great to see you. Brett Baker, thank you for that. Rick in Costa Rica. You know, Magda, Rick is watching from Costa Rica. That officially makes this International Drone Safety Day. I mean, that's how I look at it here as well. So anyways, welcome everybody. So thankful to have you. My goal is to just deliver as much value to you all here in about an hour or so. We'll finish at the top of the hour. I've got my coffee ready to go. Hopefully you've got your coffee ready to go. We are going to, Magda, if you're ready, I'm ready to bring in the one, the only, the famous, what I hope to look like and how I hope to age as well, and that is Mr. Ken Herron. Ken Herron, my friend, how are you?
Oh, I got cheers. I got you, yeah.
Oh, I can't. Did you mute yourself on your end, Ken? You're unmuted on our end.
No.
Are you muted on your end? No? I don't know what happened.
Can you not hear me?
We see you. You're very handsome. You don't hear me either, Magda, do you? Making sure it's not my
Testing,
plug. Ken and I tested all this earlier.
Testing.
Let's see. But you look great, Ken. You look great. We just can't hear you for some reason. Yeah, why don't you hop off, Ken, and hop right back on? We'll see if that fixes it. Maybe it just timed out or something like that. He's out. He's coming right back. We tested this. We did a pre-flight. Oh, they hear Ken, Magda. We couldn't hear Ken. So it's probably our issue. Maybe double check volume. All right, Ken's come back on. They heard Ken. Jason couldn't hear Ken. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. So Ken's coming back on and everything else. Here comes Ken. Let's bring him on. Here he comes. Here he comes. Adam to the right. So Mr. Heron, I need to formally apologize to you because everyone can hear you. I couldn't hear you, my friend. So that's the only issue. Computer volume, everything else up, Magda, as far as that goes?
I'm bringing some of my Wirecast luck with me.
Well, you know, that's how it works sometimes. So they heard you. It happens sometimes. Good. Anyways, my friend, how on? Yeah, well, I appreciate you being here. Hey, using only emojis, how is the weather in Tennessee right now?
I don't use emojis. I'm not allowed. I'm over 50.
Oh, yeah, that happens. It's like, you know, Ken's an Android user, which is unfortunate. I don't know how we're even still friends, but when you buy an Android, they just take that keyboard off if you're over 50. Is that how that works?
They just take it away. Just like much when you buy a Mac product, an Apple product, they take that second mouse button away. Just gone.
And all my ports too. Hey, I got a headphone jack last update though, so we're moving on up in the Apple space.
Oh, wow. Okay. Cool. Well, you know, I'm just sitting back, you know, just sipping on my section coffee mug. Yeah.
Doesn't it make coffee just taste so much better? I mean, that's how I feel about it.
It makes coffee taste like restricted airspace.
Wow. And if we could bring Ken's volume up a little bit, a few people are asking Magda, she's doing that now as well. So yeah, Creative Jeff in the chat said, we upgraded with the dongle era. And now when I travel, I just travel with a lot of dongles. You know, well, speaking of the Mac and everything else, don't go there, Ken. I know you want to go there. By the way, my coffee mug today, Ken, is Aviate, Navigate, Caffeinate. I think that's appropriate, you know, for today as well.
Is that one available in your store?
It is. I could send you one if you want, if you're going to really use it. So I mean, I know how you are.
My sectional one is my favorite. It is autographed by you.
That's right. I remember doing that. Yeah. You didn't forge that. That is a real signature. That just shows me, do you really wash that mug? The signature has stayed on that long.
To be honest, I don't drink coffee, so it's holding.
You want to hear a fun Ken Herron fact? Ken Herron doesn't drink coffee. He's never eaten fruit in his life. And look at him. You know, he's just the epitome of health. And
yeah. I've also never had a beer.
Look at that. Look at that. Epitome of health. I love it, Ken Herron. So, Ken, most of the people on here know you, love you, trust you. But for those that don't, catch them up a little bit on who you are. How'd you even get started in this space of pursuing a Part 107? You were there before Part 107. Kind of share the story a little bit.
Oh, yeah. I was one of those people that had, what was it? 333 or something?
333 is right. You're exactly right. You were looking at becoming a pilot, I bet.
A man pilot? No, I'm way too reckless to become a man pilot. If I was going to be a man pilot, I would be a stunt pilot.
That's probably right. That way, anytime you make a mistake, it's like that was on purpose.
Well, I want to follow the rules and be safe, of course. Mm-hmm. Because stunt pilots are safe, are they not? Stunt pilots.
They got to be the best. They got to be the best.
They practice a lot to look as reckless as they are. But the way I got started in the dronosphere I was dating this girl, and she bought me a little toy drone, and I thought that was cool. And then I thought, well, that drone isn't good enough. I want a better one. And then it just progressed from there, and got rid of the girl, kept the drone, and the rest is history.
Wow.
You think I'm kidding?
No, I don't think you're kidding. I realize all your.
This is my very first drone.
Your very first drone.
I thank her very much. In fact, the only things I have left from that relationship are a love for drones and my logo. She was a graphic artist. She designed my logo.
It sounds like a win-win for you, Ken. Wow.
Oh yeah, I got the better end of the deal. So yeah,
wow.
I haven't flown it in forever, but yeah. So that's how that happened. And of course, you know, I have a background in editing audio. I've done radio for longer than you've been alive.
That's possible.
And so it was a lateral move to go from audio editing to video editing, and that's when I got into the YouTubes. And yeah,
that's so good. That's so good. Yeah. So now run me through, how did you catch everybody up on how you and I actually met, Ken? Because it's kind of a funny story as well.
Well, I desperately wanted to follow the rules. And so I applied for my 333 thing right about the time when the government said, nah, 333, forget that. We got this new 107 thing. And you know, the 333 application was very difficult. It was not made to be easy at all. So you had to jump through a bunch of hoops. And I did all that, dotted my I's, crossed the T's and everything. Anyway, so I wanted to follow the rules. And I started talking about my journey of following the rules on my YouTube channel. And then I found remotepilot101.com, and I used it, and I liked it. And I liked the cut of your jib. And so I started talking about you on there, you know. And I did notice that, I don't know, for one reason or another, you were wearing 2 watches, and that became a thing. So I mentioned that.
You made it a thing.
Yes. I guess I did. Yeah. What was the original reason you were wearing 2 watches?
I was actually, and Ray, Coach Ray isn't here watching this. The reason I call him Coach Ray, I was training for a marathon at the time. So I was wearing one, like, I don't know, like Garmin fitness tracker, and one dress watch. And I just happened to film the course, not even realizing I was wearing both. And then Ken releases this video. I passed. I got the best score ever. You know, Jason Shepard's great. And the #1 feature about Remote Pilot 101 is he wears 2 watches. I went back and I didn't realize it.
Anybody that wears 2 watches is over prepared. And this is the guy that you want to listen to about learning this stuff for your 107.
You would be amazed. People now come up, if I'm not wearing 2 watches, like at a trade show or at the airport, they'll go, why aren't you wearing 2 watches today, Jason? And then the better part is they'll ask me, why do you wear 2 watches? I'll say, Ken Herron made me. I mean, that's just really, that's really how it comes down to. So,
but it's functional. You have Greenwich Mean Time, and then you have the local time, right? I mean,
exactly. And I got Tennessee time, so I know what you're up to and everything else. So it's great.
Cool.
It all works out.
I think the first time we met, where was it? Spin Up?
I want to say Spin Up, thanks to none other than Ready, Set, Drone Kelly. So that's right.
Yeah, is Kelly watching?
Yeah, Kelly's out there watching on YouTube and everything else. So we met there. I was impressed by how tall you were. You know,
you tower over everybody. That's the thing about this medium, because we're all framed the same way, right? Right. You never know until you meet somebody how tall they are.
Everyone says that.
Yeah, they all think I'm taller than I'm just average height, like 5'10" or something. But you're like what, 7? What is it?
Yeah,
7?
Somewhere around there. Yeah, something like that. Everyone always says that too. After they ask about 2 watches, they go, "You're taller than you look in your videos." I say, "Oh, thank you. What do you say to that?" You know?
Right. So, yeah. But I'm glad you and I met and are promoting the 107.
Yes.
Because it is important.
Sure.
It really does, you know, all kidding aside, having knowledge, it does empower you, because I go into a situation where I want to fly, even for fun, and I just inherently know certain things. I don't have to, you know, a lot of people depend on an app that they just look for the app, like, can I fly here? And the app says, well, I guess I can. I don't know. You know, but there's circumstances. There's, critical infrastructure and things that an app won't tell you. And those are the things that you have to learn through a course like yours.
Yeah, of course. That's so good. Well, let's talk about some of those 107 things too that maybe people don't know about, and we'll kind of share, Ken, what you've learned along the way, how we do some of these things. And in all honesty, Ken, we joke a lot, but Ken is so good. If he ever has a question, he's reaching out to myself saying, "Hey, what about this?" I'll answer one of those questions he just recently asked here in a bit. But before we do that, I want to actually share a regulation from Part 107. And it reads as follows. If we could show that full screen here, it's 107.49, and it's called Pre-Flight Familiarization, Inspection, and Actions for Operation of Aircraft. Prior to the flight, the remote pilot in command, that's you, Kelly, that's you, Ken, that's you, DD Aerial Views. Prior to the flight, the remote pilot command must, and they list out all these things. Now, I don't know of someone getting slapped on the wrist for violating any of these things, just yet. But I can tell you it's going to come. Let's read through some of these things kind of here together. And Ken, you and I can share on this a little bit.
Okay.
Are we, paragraph A, assessing the operating environment, considering risks to persons, property in the immediate vicinity, both on the surface and in the air? This assessment not should include. This assessment must include local weather conditions. I know I was being silly about the METARs and stuff earlier, but we need to be alert of what the local weather is. Local airspace and flight restrictions. And let's pause there real quick. Because, and Ken, I just want to kind of hear your opinion of this. I grew up in aviation. So when Part 107 came out and it was all reading sectional charts and airspace, that was like another language for me, or a second language to me, so I knew it, but to you, it felt like a brand new language. So kind of share a little bit starting out, were you nervous? Where do I know to fly? Can I fly here? Should I fly here? Who should I be talking to? What should I be doing? How did you handle all that?
I know exactly what you're saying. And before drones started becoming so popular, and I think you would agree that the FAA stance on regulating was pretty much hoping that people would take a common sense stance, because you got idiots and then you have people that want to follow the rules. And as a governmental body, you have to write your regulations and rules to kind of address both of those things. I would hope that there's more people that want to follow rules and be safe and use common sense, but there are outliers.
Yeah, no, and there always is.
And then once, drones, because manned aviation, manned aviation is limited to people that can afford to do it.
Sure. There's a time and a big financial commitment. You're exactly right.
Yes. Once you lower the cost to get in the air, to navigate the airspace with a drone, then you're going to have more idiots being able to afford to get in the air. And so that's what they have to regulate with. And that's why some of the language you see with the FAA is so, like, to those of us who do care, we're like, well, that's dumb. That makes sense. I wouldn't do that. But then there's other people like, how high, how far, how fast? Let's go on the White House. Yippee!
Exactly. No, you're exactly right. And unfortunately, in manned aviation, we say the regulations are written in blood, right? You would never think, Ken, we have to have a regulation that says don't fly under the influence of alcohol. But we have that regulation, right? Because someone has done it. You wouldn't think we'd have to have regulations regulating the dropping of objects from an airplane, but we have that one. Don't do harm to persons or property if you drop something, right? It's common sense, but it also has to be regulated from that standpoint. So that's so good. And to Ken's point about that, the airspace, and Ken has always been so good about this, about really sharing. Hey, Jason, I got a big question about this. Well, what do you think? Ken actually emailed me this last week, and I didn't respond to him on purpose because I wanted to do it here live to kind of show him here. So Ken sent me this screenshot last week. It's unfortunately looks like an Android tablet, Ken, so I couldn't read it. I couldn't read it at first, so it was a little confusing to me. I'm used to my Safari browser, but anyways. He sent over this, what's considered an FDC, which is federal, and it shows up, and look at the URL that Ken is on. It's on tfr.faa.gov. So it's very logical for you, Ken, if you're looking, this is in the Michigan area, to say, okay, this is interesting. From May 4th, 2020, wait a second, that was two and a half years ago, almost 3 years ago. What is happening here? Why is this TFR going on for 3 years? Well, it's not actually a TFR. It is a federal FDC NOTAM. And if you actually read, let me get my cursor on the screen here. There she is. My cursor on the screen here, you can see this is for the FPK airport, which I'll show you here in a bit. IAP means initial approach procedure, instrument approach procedure, and this is for the RNAV GPS runway 21. This is an amendment to circling minimum descent altitudes for this approach. This is all about manned pilots. This is, I know it fits under, and you see big words like, oh, there's security here. I wonder if the president's hanging out for 3 years outside of Lansing, Michigan, you know, everything else. And you think, this is so strange. This is, and again, not just Ken has the power to email these things. If you all are a Remote Pilot 101 customer, and I know most of you all are, you can always reach out to the support team here to get help on this sort of stuff, because I totally get it. It's so confusing. And the time should have been a little bit of a giveaway on this thing. Now, there are exceptions to this, Ken. You're asking me, how could it be temporary flight restriction, but it's been there for so long? Well, This is actually the TFR that's around Disney World in Orlando. It's by definition a TFR, but they tell you it is permanent. It's a temporary flight restriction that is permanent. I mean, that makes perfect sense when you say it that way.
Well, they need to change. I mean, the T in TFR should be changed to PFR.
We need a PFR, right? We need a PFR. But fun fact on this actually has been in effect since 2014 when they got, I don't know, I guess a national security that they thought Disney was a potential terrorist threat. So they put this up, and it's never came down since. So if you're in the Orlando area, and there's other ones like this that actually exist here. So you can see, you know, back to this one, again, it's just talk about an instrument approach. And how do we know that? Let's say you need this on a Saturday, and Remote Pilot 101 will email you back on Monday kind of thing, because the team's not working this weekend. Here's how I do this. And I taught Ken this a long time ago as well. We always use a website like skyvector.com. And Ken knows this website very well. On skyvector.com, I typed in FPK, which is the airport here, Fitch H Beach. Can you imagine saying that on the radio a few times fast? Fitch H Beach traffic. You gotta be real slow on that one. Be very purposeful. Anyways, this is where that amendment is. And what I always do is I'll go click underneath, there's a layers tab up here at the top, and I'll click show me the TFRs. And you can see nothing lit up here because it's not a TFR. It is just a NOTAM for the area. As opposed to, let's go look at Disney now, same thing. I check the TFR box here, I get a nice big red ring around Disney, and that's a no-brainer for me. So this is something Ken and my other remote pilots out there, you all can be using a website. And I know the Before You Fly app is, I'll say it's good. It's FAA National Drone Safety Day, so I can't throw the Before You Fly app under the bus or anything like that. It's good, but you know what I mean, Ken, and I know DD Aerial Views and a few others know, like it's a little clunky sometimes. We are responsible. Can we go back to that regulation, Magda? Who is responsible? Does it say at the top of that? It doesn't say the FAA is responsible. It doesn't say DJI is responsible. It says the remote pilot in command must do these things. So if the weather is so bad that you catch a gust of wind and it ends up, kind of blowing your drone through grandma's, screen lanai, and she wants to sue or whatever it is or complain to the FAA, right? That was your job to check the local weather.
You know what? You make a really good point there. People want things simple. They want an app that has red light, green light. Can I fly here or no? They don't want to have to click on SkyVector tabs and TFRs and all that stuff. And that's another thing. Like a DJI drone, the app might say, no, you can't. Because their no's kind of overlap where the FAA's yeses are. And it's like asking one parent, can I have a cookie? All right, mom said no. I'm going to go ask dad. Right? You want to find the answer that you want from whatever
You're so
authority,
right.
whether it be DJI or the FAA. So, well, the FAA said I can't fly here, but my drone's not stopping me, or vice
Yeah.
versa. So,
Well,
how do
and
you?
that's such a tough thing too. I mean, look, go back to the DJI example. I live in a Class Delta airport. Lance approval, everything else, super easy for the most part, assuming it's not a busy day and everybody's playing nice. When I first got the DJI Avata, I wanted to test fly it indoors. Well, again, it's freaking out that I'm in Class Delta airspace, but I'm indoors. I'm trying to get Lance. I can't get Lance, but I'm indoors. I'm not held to Part 107. And I've got this new Avata, and it doesn't want to do anything but sit there and hover at 2 feet over my living room floor because it believes it's an airspace, right? So there's this balance between it.
Right. It doesn't know that you're inside.
Inside. Why,
And
yeah,
that happened when taking the retest allowed everybody to fly at night. It used to be you check on an app, and it doesn't. Before then, it didn't know whether it was day or night. The
Right.
app, and then yeah. So there's a lot of. I flew a Phantom inside a hospital.
Wow.
Yeah, that was years ago. But yeah,
I'd imagine it's a Phantom. But.
This thing's not even going to start because it knows that I'm in, where the helicopter, and that's another thing that we could talk about if we don't want to take up too much time is why aren't there's TFRs? How do you know about helicopters, emergency helicopter, medical helicopters? There's really nothing.
And, well, that's the other thing. You look at the Before You Fly app and you're near a hospital, you're near a public airport. Well, it's a private helipad, technically. I can't just go get my helicopter and land on top of the hospital. That would be it's a private helipad.
Right.
But you're right, you need to be alert as to there could be a real emergency coming in here. And that's a part of this remote pilot vigilance that we need to operate under as well. So yeah, I don't believe the DJI app does the best job of that. I mean, do you remember 3 years ago, Ken, when people were doing the tinfoil hats over the Phantoms to try to get around airspace and all that crazy stuff? I mean, there's always cowboys doing stuff.
There's software that will allow you to bypass all that stuff, and I don't agree with that.
Yeah. No, you're right.
I just don't agree with that. You should know, and you will know by educating yourself with all these things that Jason teaches. If your drone is letting you fly, and there's an aircraft that you can see is, I don't know, 500-600 feet or whatever, close to you, yet your drone is like, man, go ahead. You should know that you need to come down.
Yeah.
You should know these things.
That is such a balance. Just because your drone said you can fly and it took off doesn't mean you're in the right. And likewise, just because your drone won't launch doesn't mean you're in the wrong either. There's such a balance between both. We can't just assume my drone took off, I must be free and clear. Your drone may not know about the TFR for that baseball game that just popped up, or they don't always advertise presidential travel. That's just for national security. So we call it a pop-up TFR, one that can pop up within a matter of hours, in some cases minutes, if the president is on the move. So you just really got to be mindful.
I've had people caught in the air and the presidential TFR pops up.
Yeah,
that mess.
Yeah, not a good spot to find ourselves in with that. So
how do you think it'll all shake out? Do you think there will eventually be just an app, red light, green light, so we don't have to think? Because ultimately, that's what people want. It simple.
Yeah.
And unless you take the time to take a course like yours to get the knowledge. Yeah. See, for me, I've taken the course for so many years. I've never been a really good learner. I didn't retain a lot of information in high school. I loved the days where the teacher would roll the projector in and it was movie day.
Oh yeah. VHS.
Here, hold on. Wait, no, that's not, there it is. Okay. All right, today we're going to watch a film about the Hoover Dam. Oh, look at that. Yeah, you have to be a little bit older to you never had an actual film come in, right?
No, they would roll in a TV, and it was the one on the cart with a VHS player, on the TV. Yeah, so I had VHS tapes. I'm older than you think sometimes. Yeah. So
anyway, video-based learning works for me, and that's why RemotePilot101.com seemed to stick a little bit. And if you have that information, then it is easy. It's almost like having that red light, green light app.
No. No, you're right. And back to your question, like, is there an app that does this? Before you fly is trying. AirMap does a decent job of it. I still find myself pulling from multiple different resources to try to accomplish that one job. So, I mean, maybe Ken, if you want to get into app development, you and I can partner on something like that, and we can make it happen. I know what a genius you are. So,
good idea. We'll talk later.
I'm just telling you. We'll talk later. So good. So Ken, what's before we say bye to you here? What's really next for you? What's coming out on the channel? I know Crash compilations. What are we on? 9 now? I think just came out a few weeks ago. So
I'm accepting video submissions for 10. I don't know when that'll come out. I'm doing a video about a thing that will allow you to use goggles on just about any drone, and of course I'm coming up with ways to kind of push the limit and test what's legal. I do that sometimes, and stuff that people won't even realize that is legal. Like, I remember when I flew a drone at an untowered airport, and people lost their minds. Like, you're flying at an airport? How can you do that? Well, you can. You have to know the rules. You have to know where you fit in. There's certain things that you do. I flew around planes taking off down the runway, and it was 1,000% legal. I was in communication with the pilot. It was an untowered airport, crashed the airspace. So these are things that you will learn, and I will continue to demonstrate that you can do on my
no doubt.
YouTube.
Well, we're going to be doing some more of that. If you saw the countdown at the beginning of this live stream, you saw a lot of our drone footage around our airplane as well. And on my way up to Oshkosh, we're taking our little 172. This is going to be your chariot, Ken Herron. We're going to stop in the Tennessee, Kentucky area, and we're going to put Ken Herron in 23 Mike Zulu and ask the question: can a remote pilot land an aircraft? That's going to be the question. So this is your baby, 23 Mike Zulu. Get used to it. Ken, you're doing the radios. You're doing all the flying. I'm just going to sit back and be there for the insurance, requirement to legally do that.
You can show me where the disarm switch is. Is it going to be an acro? Because okay, we'll figure it out.
We'll figure it all out. And then I'll let you chase the airplane down the runway with some of your FPV drones as well. So we'll get some really good footage from that. That's in July. I'm sure Ken and I will be posting a lot of stuff about that. So make sure you follow each of us here. Let me get you Ken's information here. I know most of you already know it, but follow Ken on YouTube, like and subscribe as well. I know that means the absolute world to him. Ken does an amazing show called Thursday Night Live. So Ken, as you always do with the news, I want you to have the final word. What is your word?
The final word is vector.
Vector. I'll be chewing on that word all day. Vector. I like it. Well, Ken Herron, thank you so much. Enjoy your Saturday. Thanks for joining us on here, my friend. It's wonderful.
All right.
Look at that. Applause and everything. You're a good man. Go enjoy your Saturday. Everybody else, we're going to continue on here. We're going to keep going. Again, here's Ken's information one more time. So you can go ahead and make sure you like and subscribe to Ken's page. And this one as well. This page as well. Let's keep going. Let's keep talking regulations and everything else here as well. I left off on that 107.49, that 107.49. So we looked at assessing the and again, this is the remote pilot in command must local weather conditions, local airspace, the locations of persons and property on the surface, and number 4, other ground hazards. Let me ask you a question. By typing in me in the chat, who here has a flyaway story or a crash story? Who would be typing me in the chat, and then if you'd be so humble to maybe in a few sentences or less share that actual story. I know we all do, and I'll share with you briefly my flyaway story. I got the brand spanking new. It was this amazing machine. It was called the DJI Mavic. What are we on? 3 now, right? This is a Mavic, original Mavic. When it first came out, it seemed to be like it was this revolutionary technology. And I remember going over to my parents' house to show my dad. And I said, Dad, it has this amazing feature that will allow you to, it'll follow you. I can tag it on you. So I go and I launch and I'm flying it and I say, okay, I'm gonna tag it on me. I tap it on the screen. I say, watch, Dad, it's gonna follow me. I take like 2 steps forward and it didn't latch onto me. I don't know what it latched onto, but it just took off. And I'll never forget, I've got an Air here. There were these stand of trees. I remember it went full speed. It went up to the trees, it stopped, came back, and then it just went and plowed right into the trees, just like. And I remember I paid a tree climbing company to climb up there and get it down for me, despite my best efforts to shoot it out and get it out of the tree and everything else. Things happen. Things happen sometimes. And if you don't have stories yet of flyaways, of crashes, if you haven't joined Ken Herron's Crash Compilations 9, that's like, do you remember those are those Now CDs around Magda? Those that hit Mallorca? Now 9, Now 10, it was like all the hit music. It was like before you could make mixtapes. She doesn't know what I'm talking about. You all know what I'm talking about. The Now CDs, I mean, come on. That's what Ken Herron's doing with Crash Compilations now and everything else. Let's see what Ten Toes has to say. Was flying my Spark sideways over some trees, had visual on it, nothing anywhere near, leaves on the screen, flew right into an oak tree. Still don't know what I had visual on. It was not the Spark, was it? It was not the Spark. D&D Aerial View says, had a Phantom 4 and hovered 10 feet from a tree, was reviewing the pictures, had a GPS drift. We are going to talk about GPS drift here in just a second. Next thing I know, blades hitting branches, almost caught it as it fell. Yeah, that's, it's painful. Like, it's a little painful and it gets expensive with that. I want to show you all something. So, back to our regulation, it said we must be familiar with other ground hazards. Well, I know this is part 107, but I want to jump ahead here, and I want to show you a video that I actually first saw when I was a co-host with the one and only Ken Herron, who you just saw. So this is December 1st, 2021. This is the La Palma volcano. This is back in, this is the Canary Islands is where this actually is here. So this is the Canary Islands. And again, so this is part of Spain. So again, I know Spain doesn't use Part 107. They're going to use something from EASA as well, but just flying along, beautiful volcano. He affectionately calls his, I believe it's an Air 2, DJI Air 2. He affectionately calls it Little Falcon, flying along, just getting some amazing, amazing shots of, you all remember when the volcano erupted about 2 years ago now. So flying over, and you know how drones sometimes, they just don't always do what you want them to do they sometimes? So he's coming over and there's a, what would that be, a fisher? Is that what we would call that? Coming up and decides to just explore a little bit more, but you have to know that when that drone comes down and gets close enough to the ground, well, DJI products initiate what? They initiate an auto land feature. So as he wants to come in, and of course we, as remote pilots, always want to get the best shot, especially in some camera drone flying like this. Come on down and let's get a little bit closer. And just about then, the sensors catch the ground and go, oh, were you asking me to land? And as you'll see here, as we get a little bit closer, and again, all this smoke and stuff I'm sure is not great for it either, points the camera straight down, drone goes and begins to initiate an auto land sequence that because of the lack of reception, because he's so far away, he is not able to discontinue it. He shared earlier that he was trying, look at this, he shared earlier he was trying to discontinue, it's trying to land on the lava. He is trying, it touches, there's one touch, there's another touch, it's gonna pick up for a second and it's gonna try to come back down again, trying to land on lava. Somehow he didn't have a lost link with all of this, but what happens here is it actually overheats, and did you know an overheat will actually lead to a return to home. It crash landed on its return to home, still blinking, still on, still working. His affectionate little falcon came back, and you got to see the footage here. This belongs in a DJI museum, doesn't it? Didn't fry the memory card, everything just worked. And I want to ask you a question. And I know this is just amazing, amazing footage. What will your drone do in a lost link situation? Right? This is Drone Safety Day here. If you had a lost link because you flew too far away, like in this case, it initiates an auto landing, you cannot override it because it's no longer receiving the signal. Are you still in control? Not really. What will your drone do in a lost link situation? You need to know that. If you know that, type it in the chat. Again, this is interactive. I can see Warren's comments. I can see Conan's comments, Tony's comments here. What would actually happen in a lost link? Appropriate answers, some will just sit there and hover right where they're at when they lose communication. Some will actually climb up to about 50 feet and then sit to try to get better reception. Some will go as far as to initiate a return to home up to 100 feet over its last known GPS position, the home point, and then return to home. You need to know what your drone's going to do in a lost link situation, because it's not a matter of if you're going to have a lost link, it's truly when you have a lost link. And this is why I want to take you through some steps I do before each and every flight. And the first is this: you've got to set the return to home location. Now, I know you all heard this phrase, the home point has been updated. Please check it on the map. I know I don't sound halfway as smart as the little digital lady from DJI when she says that, but how many of you just go, oh, okay, that's good, and you forget all about it? How many of you truly check the return to home location on the map? I don't mean to be preaching to you here, but you have to. DJI is giving you a verbal prompt to, because that return to home location is so important, especially in a lost link situation or even in a flyaway situation where you're able to get it back to. You are to know your return to home location. Now think of it another way, and the FAA gives us some verbiage in this. Look at the last paragraph of this FAA letter, that last bullet point. Moving vehicle operations may cover a large geographical area or linear distance, so SUAS communication failure lost link should be covered. Think about that. We can now operate, and there's moving vehicle operations that can be allowed with some under Part 107, some with some waivers, everything else. We can get into that another day. But if your return to home location is moving, and even not a moving vehicle, maybe you start in this corner of the field and you walk to the other corner of the field. Maybe you're flying off a boat that is anchored. Well, I hate to break it to you, but a boat on an anchor, right, still pivots around that point. And there's videos where someone launches off a boat, they return to home and wonder why it's going to try to land the water. And let me tell you something, that drone doesn't know it's water. It senses a surface, and it will land itself in the water. Right? And there's a famous YouTube video of someone jumping off the boat and swimming to go and catch the drone right before it crash lands itself, kamikaze style, into the water. So that's if we have a lost link. But let me ask you another question. Some of you mentioned, ADI mode earlier. What would happen, or what would happen if you lost your GPS? And there's any number of reasons, right? We as a military have GPS jamming technology that they often test. I've been flying actually in my airplane, and they NOTAM it when they're doing it. They publish a NOTAM, but lost all GPS in my aircraft and had to navigate the old-fashioned way. And thankfully, I learned the old-fashioned way, so it was easy. But I heard other pilots on the radio going, what do you mean I have to navigate using a VOR and all this old technology? And how do I use a map again? Right? It was one of those kind of moments for some people. We could have issues with our GPS satellite system. You could just have issues with receiving that GPS. Maybe, like I was sharing with Ken earlier, I wanted to fly the DJI Avata inside. Oftentimes inside, especially in a metal roof or a concrete home, you may not be able to pick up a GPS signal. So step 2 is, do you know how to fly, or even better, activate manual or ADI mode? And do you even know what I'm talking about, right? Have you ever flown, even your DJI camera drone, have you ever flown it in ADI mode, which is basically manual mode, which is, as D&D aerial views, or maybe it was Ten Toes was sharing earlier, had that GPS drift. Even with GPS locked, it's going to wander a little bit. It's not perfect. In ADI mode, it's going to just keep moving till you catch it here. This is why I really believe, and it's something I've been doing a lot of lately, and actually it was Ken Herron that got me into it, and Dave and some others as well, is FPV flying. because we're talking, that is all manual flying, manual throttle, everything. That will make you a better pilot. In manned aviation, we call that stick and rudder flying. And you need to get good. First off, you need to know how to activate manual mode or ADI mode. It depends. If you fly unique, they call it manual mode. You fly DJI, they call it ADI mode, attitude flying mode. You need to know how to activate it as well. If the GPS is acting up or you get GPS interference, you know how to switch into ADI mode. Your drone may never even grab GPS. And you'll hear it say ADI mode, right? You need to know what that means. It means, hey, you're controlling this thing. It's not going to lock into a position. So you need to know and understand that. So what do we do if we have that lost link? What do we do if return to home's not acting right? We can't get a hold of it here. You know what DJI recommends? If all else fails, as the last step, restart the controller. Well, thank you. It's like the old video games where you take them out and you blow in it. Did you ever have those video games, Magda? You blew in it and you put it back in the Nintendo. That's what that reminds me of. Thank you, DJI, for that. Yes, if all else fails, I will try to restart the controller. I think that's an excellent idea, and it really is. But you have to know, this is Drone Safety Day, and my goal was not only to bring you some entertainment with Ken, because I think he's an amazing person and an amazing drone pilot, but to challenge you with some thoughts and some ideas on how we can better ourselves as pilots as well. Look at this, what do I call this? We'll call it a white paper from the Texas Department of Public Safety. Look at paragraph, not only A and B, but look at paragraph C. They have already detailed out what to do. This is the Texas Department of Public Safety. Detailed out what to do with a lost link situation. This is how we handle it. Let me tell you something. You are a Part 107 pilot. You are training to be safer and smarter. And if you're not a Part 107 pilot, I encourage you to go to remotepilot101.com, buy the course, and become one. If you want to operate in furtherance of a business, you need to have your Part 107. And furtherance of a business doesn't mean you're getting paid. It could be, my buddy has a car dealership and says, hey, Jason, can you just fly your drone over my car dealership? I want to use it on my Facebook page to promote my dealership. You are helping to further a business. Realtor calls you up, hey, can you just do a quick flyby of this house for me for Zillow? You are furthering someone's business. You can volunteer all you want. You're furthering someone's business. You need your Part 107. So think about that here. But the reason I say that is you are a professional pilot. And we need to act like one. All the way back to 10749, that list of pre-flight requirements that I shared that we need to do. We need to really live by that. Because if not, insurance is going to get more expensive, more regulations and rules are going to come, remote ID is going to get more restrictive, all these things, right? When they continue to regulate our great little Part 107 business world here that we have, it makes it more restrictive. When those who break the rules, it makes it more restrictive for those of you like you and I that play by and follow the rules. So I just need you to know and understand that. Look what the Texas Department of Public Safety did. They said, listen, we're going to play it super safe. We're going to create a training course. We're going to create a training manual on this is what we're going to do. And if maybe you're just a one-man or one-woman band, that's all fine. But you need to create your own protocols, your own little checklist that you're going through and you're going, okay, my pre-flight checklist, props on, they're right, everything else. You saw the video that Coach Ray did just this week. His pre-flight procedures to make it as safe as possible in everything that we do. Dave asked, where do we find that info? If we can show it again here, it is the Texas Department of Public Safety. It's all public. It's out there. That's Chapter 4, Annex 11 of their training manual. So just search Texas Department of Public Safety drone training manual. I imagine you would find it. This is because they have a COA, Certificate of Authorization, and that's some of the paperwork they did. If you're pursuing something like a COA, it's going to behoove you, it will benefit you to have this paperwork out. I'm not saying copy paste, but use it to the best of your ability with that as well. So, M0A family, Remote Pilot 101 family, with that, any questions, any comments, any concerns? Myself and the team here, we are here to serve you all. in everything. So ask those questions in the comments section now. Also, please don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook. Some more great unmanned flying videos to come as well. Other great live streams like this, not just on Drone Safety Day, but the team and I have been really planning to get back to doing some great live streams and continuing to bring some amazing content to you all. So that's great. Let's read some questions. Let's read some comments here as well. Magda's scrolling through to find me. Chris Ritchie said, are drones now required to put an ADS-B signal? Not quite. We're getting very, very close to such, but not quite. The reason being is, and I wish, Chris, I know as a manned pilot, wish we could see when drones are in the area, but no, it's not a requirement just yet. There have been some, like DJI, that will receive ADS-B data, but they will not broadcast ADS-B data as well. So that makes it a little bit tough as well. So awesome. Thank you, everybody, for the kind words. Keith Young, thank you so much. Appreciate that here. Happy Drone Safety Day is right with that one. So listen, if there aren't any questions, any comments, I'll let you get back to enjoying your amazing Saturday. Have a blessed, abundant, outstanding rest of your day. And most importantly, remember that a good pilot is always learning. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you.